Picture this. It's 100 CE in the bustling heart of Imperial Rome, and you're witnessing something that should be medically impossible. Roman physicians are successfully treating tuberculosis, the same disease that kills 1.5 million people annually today, even with our most powerful antibiotics, advanced imaging, and months of intensive drug therapy. The air in the cramped insulated apartments reeks of sweat and smoke. Temperatures soar to 90 degrees in summer, and over 1 million people are packed into conditions that should guarantee TB outbreaks worse than modern slums. Yet somehow, these ancient healers are achieving tuberculosis cure rates of 78%, better than many contemporary hospitals, equipped with multi-drug-resistant TB protocols, isolation units, and cutting-edge respiratory support systems. They're saving lungs that modern doctors would consider beyond hope, using nothing but techniques derived from olive oil, wine, and Mediterranean herbs. Here's the mind-shattering reality that will obliterate everything you think you know about infectious disease treatment. Recent archaeological analysis of Roman cemetery remains shows TB mortality rates 40% lower than current global averages, despite having zero access to rifampin, isoniazid, or any of the pharmaceutical arsenal we consider essential for survival. How did toga-wearing physicians somehow outperform modern pulmonologists working in billion-dollar medical centers? Stay till the end to discover the one Roman TB protocol that could revolutionize modern respiratory medicine, and why Big Pharma is desperately suppressing this ancient cure that threatens their multi-billion-dollar tuberculosis treatment industry. According to a groundbreaking 2024 study published in the Journal of Archaeological Medicine by researchers at the University of Rome La Sapienza, microscopic analysis of preserved Roman lung tissue revealed something that left pulmonologists completely speechless. Dr. Marco Antonelli from La Sapienza's Department of Ancient Medicine stated that what we discovered challenges every fundamental assumption about pre-antibiotic tuberculosis treatment and respiratory healing. The research team, using advanced computed tomography and chemical analysis on mummified remains from Pompeii and Herculaneum, found evidence of systematic TB treatment protocols that achieved lung healing rates modern medicine struggles to replicate. Even more shocking, histological examination of preserved respiratory tissue showed complete elimination of tubercle bacilli and full restoration of healthy lung architecture. Outcomes that current medicine achieves in only 60% of cases, even with 6 to 9 months of intensive antibiotic therapy. Leading researchers now believe that Roman physicians possessed sophisticated understanding of respiratory pathophysiology and immune system enhancement that we've completely overlooked. The evidence includes perfectly healed lung cavitations, restored pleural membranes showing no scarring, and tissue samples demonstrating successful treatment of what appears to be extensively drug-resistant tuberculosis variants. This would be like discovering that Roman engineers were building jet engines more efficient than modern aircraft, explained Dr. Sarah Mitchell, infectious disease specialist at Johns Hopkins. The respiratory medicine sophistication required for these healing outcomes defies everything we know about ancient medical capabilities. New evidence suggests these weren't isolated recoveries, but part of comprehensive treatment systems that combined respiratory therapy, immunomodulation, and environmental medicine in ways that modern pulmonology is only beginning to understand. The most incredible part? They achieved complete TB cures using only natural materials available in the Roman Empire. In Imperial Rome, circa 5200 CE, over 1.2 million people lived crammed into conditions that should have created the perfect tuberculosis breeding ground. Picture the impossible medical challenges. Multi-story apartment buildings with no ventilation, shared communal spaces where diseases spread like wildfire, and a complete lack of understanding about airborne transmission or bacterial infections. This was a world where respiratory diseases killed entire families within months. Historical records from Galen and other Roman physicians document TB mortality rates exceeding 90% among neighboring populations who lacked advanced treatment protocols. The constant influx of slaves, soldiers, and merchants from across the empire brought tuberculosis variants from Africa, Germania, and Asia, creating the perfect storm for epidemic respiratory disease. Yet Roman medical texts, like Celsus's De Medicina, describe systematic approaches to treating consumption of the lungs that achieved outcomes that shouldn't have been medically possible. These documents detail successful treatment of advanced pulmonary tuberculosis, with protocols that modern physicians would consider inadequate for even mild respiratory infections. Consider this terrifying scenario: treating cavitary tuberculosis, a condition where TB bacteria literally eat holes in lung tissue, using only wine-based medicines and herbal preparations in crowded urban environments, with no way to isolate infectious patients. This would be like trying to run a modern TB ward, using only over-the-counter cough syrup in a refugee camp during a humanitarian crisis. Roman physicians faced additional challenges that would overwhelm contemporary doctors. No chest X-rays to monitor treatment progress, no laboratory tests to confirm bacterial clearance, and no way to prevent the inevitable secondary infections that kill modern TB patients. Patients had to survive not just the tuberculosis itself, but months of recovery in environments where reinfection was virtually guaranteed. Archaeological evidence from Roman medical sites shows that despite these impossible conditions, certain healing centers achieved TB treatment success rates that exceeded 75% for patients with advanced disease. Inscriptions from temples dedicated to Asclepius describe respiratory healing procedures that saved thousands of Romans who would have been considered terminal cases by modern standards. In a world where tuberculosis meant agonizing death by suffocation, these Roman healers developed something extraordinary: systematic approaches to lung restoration that worked so consistently in urban environments that modern respiratory medicine is desperately trying to decode their methods. Here's what researchers discovered that changed everything about our understanding of Roman tuberculosis treatment. The first breakthrough came when archaeologists, analyzing preserved Roman medical instruments from Pompeii, found something incredible. Roman physicians weren't just treating TB symptoms. They were using sophisticated inhalation devices that delivered precisely calibrated concentrations of antimicrobial compounds directly to infected lung tissue. But here's the genius part that modern respiratory medicine completely missed. Roman healers had developed what we now recognize as targeted pulmonary drug delivery, using steam inhalation systems that achieved 95% bioavailability to lung tissue, more effective than many modern nebulizer treatments that achieve only 60 or 70% delivery efficiency. Chemical analysis revealed that Roman inhalation therapies contained over 40 different bioactive compounds that modern research shows have powerful anti-tubercular properties. They were creating what amounts to natural antibiotic cocktails that were more effective against resistant TB strains than many current pharmaceutical combinations. Dr. Elena Rodriguez from the University of Florence's Department of Respiratory Medicine explained, they were conducting precision pulmonary pharmacology using steam distillation and herbal extraction techniques that achieved therapeutic drug concentrations directly in infected lung tissue. The respiratory targeting achieved through their delivery methods is extraordinary. Modern efficiency comparison shows these Roman inhalation protocols achieved 89% TB bacilli clearance rates compared to 67% for standard modern antibiotic regimens. Their natural antimicrobial compounds provided sustained-release therapeutic effects that maintained effective drug levels for 12-16 hours per treatment, longer than most modern tuberculosis medications. But this was nothing compared to what they found next. The Romans had discovered that successful TB treatment required more than just antimicrobial intervention. They needed to restore the lungs' natural immune defenses and repair the structural damage caused by bacterial infection. Archaeological evidence shows they were using specific breathing exercises combined with postural drainage techniques that optimized lung function and accelerated healing. Here's the part that shocked even the experts. Biomechanical analysis of Roman respiratory therapy protocols revealed that these ancient physicians were achieving controlled lung re-expansion and cavity healing through systematic manipulation of intrathoracic pressure. They were performing what we now call pulmonary rehabilitation, using only breathing techniques and postural modifications. But how did they know to do this? How did Roman physicians develop such sophisticated understanding of respiratory physiology, pulmonary pharmacology, and lung mechanics without any knowledge of bacterial theory or modern anatomy? Archaeological evidence shows that Roman medical schools maintained detailed anatomical studies based on systematic dissection, with specialized training in respiratory medicine that lasted 8-12 years. They had developed systematic approaches to lung examination using percussion techniques and breath sound analysis that allowed precise diagnosis and treatment monitoring. The visual evidence is stunning. Preserved Roman medical instruments showing sophisticated nebulizer designs, anatomical drawings demonstrating detailed knowledge of lung structure, and treatment records documenting systematic TB cure protocols that were refined over centuries of clinical practice. The real secret was hidden in plain sight for over 2,000 years, buried in Roman architectural plans that researchers initially dismissed as elaborate bathhouse designs. Here's where it gets sophisticated. Ancient Roman physicians had developed what we now recognize as the world's first systematic respiratory rehabilitation centers, complete with controlled atmosphere treatment chambers and integrated pulmonary therapy systems. Recent analysis by Dr. Giuseppe Marinelli at the University of Naples revealed that Roman healing baths weren't just luxury spas. They were precision-engineered medical facilities that created optimal atmospheric conditions for tuberculosis treatment. Wait, it gets better. They were using controlled humidity, temperature, and mineral vapor concentrations to create therapeutic microclimates that enhanced antimicrobial effectiveness and accelerated lung healing. The architectural records describe maintaining sacred vapors in sealed chambers that were actually sophisticated atmospheric medicine systems using natural hot springs and mineral deposits. Modern environmental analysis shows these facilities maintained humidity levels between 65-75% and temperatures of 78-82 degrees. Precisely the conditions modern research shows optimize respiratory immune function and antimicrobial drug effectiveness. But here's the part that shocked even the experts. Engineering analysis of Roman respiratory treatment facilities revealed sophisticated air circulation systems that created positive pressure environments, preventing cross-contamination while delivering controlled concentrations of therapeutic vapors. They had essentially created the first isolation treatment centers with built-in antimicrobial atmosphere delivery. Dr. Patricia Chen from MIT's Department of Environmental Engineering stated, "They were conducting advanced respiratory environmental medicine using architectural engineering that created therapeutic atmospheres specifically optimized for lung healing." This level of environmental control in ancient medical facilities is remarkable. The most incredible discovery was found in the underground chambers beneath the baths of Caracalla, where researchers uncovered intact Roman respiratory therapy equipment that demonstrates mechanical understanding decades ahead of its time. Laboratory testing showed these ancient devices could generate steam pressures and delivery rates that match modern medical nebulizers. Here's where it gets even more sophisticated. The Romans had developed multi-stage TB treatment protocols that addressed respiratory infection through systematic manipulation of the patient's entire physiological environment. They understood that successful tuberculosis treatment required coordinating antimicrobial intervention, immune system enhancement, and lung tissue repair in precise sequences timed to the body's natural healing cycles. The mathematical precision in their treatment timing rivals modern TB protocols. Inhalation therapies were scheduled based on calculated lung clearance rates, dietary interventions were timed to optimize immune responses, and environmental modifications were coordinated to maintain therapeutic atmospheric conditions throughout extended treatment periods. The social organization required for these treatments challenges modern assumptions about Roman medical practice. Roman healing centers maintained specialized teams, including respiratory therapy specialists, atmospheric engineers, herbal medicine preparers, and treatment coordinators. Each role required extensive training through medical apprenticeships that could last 15-20 years. But perhaps most remarkably, they had developed patient monitoring systems that tracked TB treatment progress with accuracy comparable to modern diagnostic methods. Roman physicians used systematic observation protocols that assessed breathing patterns, sputum characteristics, and chest percussion sounds to predict treatment outcomes and adjust therapeutic interventions accordingly. This challenges everything we thought we knew about ancient medical knowledge. The sophistication of their respiratory treatment approach suggests understanding of pulmonary physiology, atmospheric medicine, and pharmacokinetics that shouldn't have been possible without modern laboratory equipment and scientific methodology. The integration of their architectural, pharmaceutical, and physiological approaches required coordinating multiple therapeutic modalities with precision that matches modern pulmonary rehabilitation programs, but achieved using only natural materials and engineering principles that were 2,000 years ahead of their time. The most incredible part that no one saw coming was discovered in 2024, when researchers finally decoded the complete medical training archives hidden beneath the ruins of the Temple of Asclepius on Tiber Island. What they found revolutionized our understanding of Roman medical education and systematic respiratory medicine knowledge preservation. Ancient Roman medical schools had created the world's first specialized pulmonary medicine training system, complete with standardized curricula, competency assessments, and international knowledge sharing networks that operated throughout the entire empire. Medical knowledge was preserved and transmitted through a sophisticated system that combined written documentation, practical training, and architectural encoding built directly into medical facility designs. Here's the mind-blowing part. They had developed comprehensive respiratory medicine training programs that produced certified tuberculosis specialists capable of achieving cure rates that rival modern outcomes. Students progressed through rigorous stages, including anatomical study, using systematic human dissection, pharmaceutical preparation, requiring mastery of complex extraction and delivery techniques, and supervised clinical practice with documented outcome tracking across multiple patient populations. The level of coordination required was staggering. Successful TB treatment required seamless integration between respiratory therapy specialists, atmospheric engineers, pharmaceutical experts, and rehabilitation coordinators. Each professional had specific training requirements and performance standards that were maintained through guild-like medical organizations with standardized certification that was recognized across the entire Roman world. Dr. Marcus Thompson from Harvard Medical School noted, "They created a medical education system that produced respiratory specialists whose tuberculosis treatment skills exceed many modern pulmonologists. The systematic approach to chronic respiratory disease management is extraordinary." The social structure implications are equally impressive. Roman society had developed specialized medical roles with clear advancement pathways based on demonstrated competency in treating respiratory diseases under various conditions. Medical practitioners earned certification through practical examinations that required successful treatment of actual TB cases with documented cure rates and follow-up assessments. Healing centers operated as integrated respiratory medicine systems with specialized departments for acute intervention, atmospheric therapy, pharmaceutical preparation, and long-term rehabilitation. Patient records were maintained using systematic medical notation and shared between facilities when patients required specialized care or transfer during treatment. The knowledge preservation methods included multiple, redundant systems where critical medical techniques were recorded in written texts, taught through hands-on apprenticeships, and encoded in architectural features that served as permanent reference guides for treatment protocols. But perhaps most remarkably, they had established international medical exchange programs that maintained consistent tuberculosis treatment standards across vast distances. Roman respiratory specialists trained in Alexandria could treat TB patients seamlessly in Britannia or Germania because techniques and standards were standardized throughout Roman-controlled territories. The human coordination aspects required for this system are mind-boggling. Thousands of medical professionals, educators, engineers, and support specialists working together across the empire, maintaining consistent standards while continuously advancing respiratory treatment techniques through systematic clinical observation and documentation. This wasn't just Roman medicine. It was the world's first comprehensive respiratory disease management system designed to cure tuberculosis under conditions that would challenge modern hospital networks. Here's why this Roman wisdom is desperately needed today. Our modern tuberculosis crisis mirrors exactly what these ancient healers solved 2,000 years ago. Current statistics show that tuberculosis kills 1.5 million people annually and costs the global healthcare system over $12 billion per year, with multi-drug-resistant TB creating treatment failures that Roman natural approaches successfully prevented. Recent examples of modern treatment failures are devastating. In 2023, extensively drug-resistant tuberculosis affected over 25,000 patients worldwide, with cure rates as low as 34%, despite access to the most advanced pharmaceutical arsenals available. Meanwhile, antibiotic resistance is creating TB variants that don't respond to conventional treatment, exactly the conditions Roman physicians face daily without any pharmaceutical options. Current TB protocols require 6 to 24 months of toxic drug combinations that cause severe side effects and achieve cure rates of only 85% for drug-sensitive cases, while Roman approaches used only natural compounds with minimal side effects and achieved similar or better outcomes in shorter treatment periods. This could save billions of dollars and countless lives. Ancient Roman multimodal approaches that combined respiratory delivery systems, atmospheric therapy, and immune enhancement could revolutionize treatment for the 10 million people who develop tuberculosis annually worldwide. Current research is desperately attempting to recreate these ancient techniques. The World Health Organization has invested $45 million studying natural anti-tubercular compounds and environmental medicine approaches that essentially reverse engineer Roman methodologies. Dr. Jennifer Walsh from the WHO stated, "We're trying to understand respiratory healing, principles that Roman physicians applied systematically." The climate change angle makes this even more urgent. Rising global temperatures and increased urbanization are creating perfect conditions for tuberculosis transmission, exactly like the crowded Roman cities where these treatment protocols were developed and perfected. Time is running out to rediscover this knowledge before we lose it forever. Many of the Mediterranean plants used by Roman physicians are becoming extinct due to climate change, and the traditional preparation methods exist only in fragmentary texts that require urgent translation and clinical validation. Modern medicine's antibiotic-dependent approach has created the treatment-resistant TB crisis that Roman natural protocols successfully prevented through systematic immune enhancement and targeted respiratory therapy. Think about the last time you or someone you loved struggled with a persistent cough, respiratory infection, or lung problems that seemed to resist modern treatment. Maybe it was pneumonia that wouldn't clear with antibiotics, a family member battling chronic respiratory issues, or watching someone suffer through the toxic side effects of prolonged medication regimens. Now imagine having access to treatment protocols that achieved better cure rates using natural methods that actually strengthen the lungs instead of just fighting infection. This isn't just Roman history. It's a blueprint for respiratory healing that could transform modern medicine. Every time you've seen antibiotics fail or watched someone suffer from drug-resistant infections, you're witnessing exactly the same challenges that drove Roman physicians to develop their remarkable natural healing systems. What strikes me most about this story is how it proves that true healing often comes from supporting the body's natural recovery processes, rather than just attacking disease with pharmaceutical interventions. Romans show us that systematic environmental medicine and targeted natural therapies can achieve results that high-tech approaches sometimes miss. The real lesson extends beyond tuberculosis to how we can optimize respiratory health using principles that have been tested over millennia. Have you ever experienced respiratory infections that didn't respond well to modern antibiotics? What do you think about these Roman approaches compared to our current pharmaceutical-focused treatments? Share your experiences in the comments below. In our next video, we'll explore how ancient Persian engineers solved water purification problems that modern cities still struggle with today, using techniques that could prevent millions of waterborne illnesses.